About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.
And what's going on, everybody? We are here, AATBirds Weekly Report, to break down a lot of busyness. We're not at our usual scheduled Wednesday night. We had to push it back 2 days here. A lot to go, a lot going on.
I'm glad we did. Holy smoke, we got news.
We got a lot of news. Some free agent signings. We've got some trades. A lot going on. So, which is pretty good because this is the kind of time of year, you want that to kind of go into. Look, the draft is, we were just talking, 34 days away. So you still have that. So there's a lot going on in the offseason as we roll on here. But the Eagles make some moves. One of the first moves right after our last show was Arnold Ebiketie, the edge rusher from the Atlanta Falcons. Signing.
He was on my list.
He was on your list. I didn't put him on your list, I don't believe, right? Or did I? Did I put him on the graphic?
You did.
I'm trying to think if I did. I did. Okay.
We took the corners off.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, I know. You guys sent me so many. I wasn't 100%. I wasn't 100% sure who I put where. But as we look at the Eagles, what happened? A lot to go over. Because I don't believe we talked about Braden Mann re-signing. You had Jonathan Jones, the corner, signing, Arnold Ebiketie signing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start out with those guys, and then we'll work forward. We'll work through all of this because essentially it's what the show is going to be tonight. It's going to be talking about the free agent signings, some of the trades going down, maybe a little insight of what potentially on the horizon, what could be next, essentially what you still could fill. Maybe we'll get into that. But I don't
know that we had Goddard re-signing either on our last show. I don't remember.
We did not. No. Yeah. So this is the first section. The next section we'll talk Goddard, Hollywood Brown.
Okay.
And then we'll get into the other guys. A lot, like I said, a lot went on, which is great because it packs the show. It fuels the show without us really having to do, as you would say, an agenda because we're just talking about the free agent signings.
Buckle up, kiddos.
To answer your question before we popped on air here, if there was an agenda, this is the agenda.
We have an agenda. Boom. Intro music.
Exactly. This is the agenda. So the Braden Mann signing. To me, it was a no-brainer. We knew this was going to be coming, which is good for him. He gets a payday. He's really, really showed what he can do. We praised him a lot last year with what he was doing. He really helped them, especially when the offense was struggling, to pin the opposing offenses deep in different situations so the defense can take care of business, which a lot of the times they did most of the time. So, it was good to get him. To me, the other two signings were, Jonathan Jones is a veteran depth guy, essentially. If need be, if something were to happen or whatever, he can fill in. He's played for the Patriots, played for the Commanders. He's been in the league for, I think, over 10 years. I believe it's his 11th year, 10th or 11th year. Yeah. So he's been around, and, the Ebiketie thing, which is what you mentioned, a great third edge. He's only 26, right? He turns 27.
Yeah, he's young. This was his first contract.
And it's a 1-year deal up to $7.3 million. Now there's escalators and everything that goes with that, but $4.3 million guaranteed. So that's pretty good, pretty good deal to get. Now, again, we said the same thing last year with the Azeez Ojulari signing. So, you have to, temper your expectations. But the one thing with Ebiketie was he hasn't been as injured as Ojulari was in his tenure. And I think Ebiketie is a tiny bit bigger. And he's shown you the production. Yes, he only had 2 sacks last year. He was kind of buried on the depth chart behind 2 first-round draft picks, but a lot of pressures. His pressure rate was pretty high, so he did play a lot. So I think there's a lot of excitement in that, especially if he is going to be, your third or fourth edge, depending on what else they do here in the offseason. Sure. I love the signing.
Me too. And we mentioned it on our potential free agent show that he would, we went into that show assuming that we would re-sign Phillips, which was a fair assumption. But I think his market was obviously a lot better than even Howie anticipated.
And listen, that's great for him. Get your payday, especially a guy who's battled injuries.
I don't blame him. I don't
You
blame
know,
him. He doesn't owe us any loyalty.
No, it sucks to see him leave,
100%.
but if he's able to get that bag and he had all the injury history that he's had, hey, you got to get it at that point.
I'm with you. I will say though, without sounding like I'm shitting on him, I don't think he's worth that contract. I think he elevated our team. I think he was a disruptive player. I don't think he's worth $30,000 a year. But that being said, regardless of what happens at the edge, if we make a trade, which I still believe we're going to do, we're not done addressing that position in any way, shape, or form. But either way, I think Ebiketie or AK for folks who don't want to say the name, I think he is a tremendous upside pickup for that third or fourth rotational edge rusher. He's got the athleticism. He knows how to drop, right? Like he was doing that at Penn State. He did it at Temple. He did it here with the Falcons. I think he's going to be one of those like fan favorite Vic favorites. After training camp.
Yeah, I think that's something that he can build into, which is going to be great, especially if he can win over, Fangio and the defensive staff.
Yeah.
But then you look at the next group of signings. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do the next four. So the two, of course, Goddard and Hollywood Brown is who we're going to be talking more about. Sure. But of course, you have also the tight end Stone Smart and the Damian Pierce signings. Interesting when you look at those two.
That's my favorite signing of
Damian Pierce
of the four. Yeah, I don't know why. Admittedly, I didn't know much about Stone Smart, other than he was a former quarterback. Damian Pierce is one of those guys that like you and I have been talking about as a decent depth trade target.
He's only 26, so he's not like
I know before we got Tank, you and I had brought up, I don't know if it was in the chat or on a show, but like Damian Pierce is out there. He's not being used.
Yeah. And that was even it was interesting because that was even with the Mixon injury and he still wasn't being used.
I don't get it. I really don't, because he showed flashes and granted, the Texans have a dog shit offensive line. They always have. They probably always will. Actually, this year they did it. They did a ton this offseason to address it. So we'll see.
They rebuilt that whole line.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Basically, the Browns' offensive line. Yeah, but I thought that was a really intriguing signing, and I wonder, he's got kick return upside, which we're struggling there. I'm interested to see how he eats into Shipley's carries. That's
going to be a fun to me. That's going to be a good battle to watch. You look at Shipley and Damian Pierce.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I don't know what Mannion values yet in a third down back. Like if he values protection, Pierce might be your dude. If he values
receiver aspect, it's going to be
receiver, then it's Shipley. And who knows? It may depend on
or they may just keep four running backs like they did last year.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. Or you can sneak one on a practice squad. Either way, it'll be training camp and preseason will be fun, just because we'll have like legitimate running back competition. Yeah. Like for anyone watching, like I don't think I've seen some people say, "Oh, he's this year's AJ Dillon," or he's this year's Rashad Penny. Like I think he's much more talented. He's obviously younger than both of those guys. It's
going to be interesting too because it puts the question of, I'm not sure that they draft a running back. If you have all these guys,
no.
I don't see it. The need to do that. No, like to me, I could see you getting an undrafted free agent, or if somebody falls into like the 6th round or whatever. But I don't even think they have a 6th round pick anymore. They have 5th because they do.
Well, 195. Okay, 197.
So that was okay. We'll talk about that in a little bit here, but. The Dallas Goedert and the Hollywood Brown signings. Now, the Goddard re-signing, we got that. I believe that was on Sunday we got that. And 1 year, $7 million, which super low, lower than I thought. I thought he would at least get 10.
I thought his
the low
benchmark
point.
was 10 because of last year.
But he did that, which of course saves the Eagles cap money, which the Eagles cap is at $34 million now. So great thing. It's a great sign to have. Him re-signing is great. The Hollywood Brown signing is interesting. I know he's not as productive as he was earlier in his career, but I still think he's a solid quality player, and I think he's leaps and bounds better than Jahan Dotson. So I think you improved in that aspect. Now, of course, there's more to see maybe in the future here, depending on the other receiver, number 11. So the whole AJ thing. So we'll leave that for other shows and other conversations because it seems to be talked to death right now. But
and Hollywood's a local guy. Like, he grew up as an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. Is he local?
Well, no, he's from Florida, I believe. Hollywood, Florida. And I think that's why he gets the nickname, not Hollywood, California. A lot of people mistake in that.
I just thought it was because he wore sunglasses all the time. So that's an interesting signing. It's interesting to me because when you look at Sirianni generally in his offense, he wants a bigger blocking receiver, which is why you and I were thinking Jawan Jennings would be a good fit there. That's why Johnny Wilson was brought in. That's why Zach Pascal was in the offense, right? Like, they typically have a bully wide receiver, and it's interesting to see them go with speed. All I've heard from a couple people that are plugged into the organization saying that speed is the magic word here. It's the buzzword this offseason. Speed, which is why I originally thought Mooney would be an option. But Hollywood Brown obviously gives you that. That's his game. That's what he's always been kind of known for. So that's an intriguing one because I think it tells you a little bit more about the offense than you realize.
So how about this? Now, I'll throw this out at you. Listen, we're getting a lot of people that are leaving and everything. So a lot of pretty good numbers are opening up, which is fun to think about.
Love it.
What about 0 for Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, you and I were talking about that. I think 0 needs to go to the offense this year. It's been an edge rusher for the last 2 years.
The last player to actually be decent wearing that number was the first time it was used, and that was DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
Back in 23.
Yeah.
Because Bryce Huff and Josh Uche.
I thought Uche was all right. I think he gets better.
He was okay, but
I think he could have been used more. Anyway, but that's another conversation. But yeah, dude, 0 would be great. I was leaning towards 8. I thought 8 would be a good number on him.
You see 8. You know, it'd be nice if we could use some other numbers, but that's for another time. We've already exacerbated that, whether it's online or on shows. I do want to bring up too.
0 would be cool for him or Tank. I think Tank would be cool in 0.
Yeah, I remember you did tell me, you texted me that. I do want to bring up the one contract the Eagles reworked, which was the Jake Elliott contract, trimming his base pay from $6 million to $5 million, but guaranteeing all of it. His cap number was lowered by $240K. So to me, it seems like Jake is going to stay. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring an undrafted guy in just in the offseason, as a just in case Jake does struggle during the season. There may be something where they go a different way. But right now, I believe he's your kicker, and that's, they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt just because.
I think they have to. I think they have to bring in competition. They have to.
I would agree with you. I think so too. Give me an undrafted free agent, or if you want to get a veteran that's out there, bring somebody else in. And then if you have to, put him on the practice squad.
Yeah, at the very least, like, make him sweat it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But although I will say that Howie is awesome at finding kickers off of practice squads. Because that's how he found
Cameron
Jake,
Dicker.
And that's how he found Cameron Dicker. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't pick up a UDFA. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes scouring someone's practice squad.
The Eagles in general, that's the way they found their all-time kickers, whether it's Jake Elliott. Cameron Dicker's not an all-time kicker, but he's one of the best in the league right now, and David Akers. So
He was Arena League or
no, he
European
was
League?
in the world. He was in the NFL Europe because he started with he was I believe with the Panthers. He was cut during the preseason with them. Went to the Redskins, Washington. 99 did play a couple of games. Then went to NFL Europe, and then the Eagles got him.
He's basically the kicker version of Warner.
Yeah. Let me see here.
We have a couple other moves. Couple trades.
We have the Andy Dalton trade. Eagles adding Andy Dalton. That was interesting.
What do you think that means for the quarterback room? Do you think so? We kind of talked about this, right? He's as of right now. The assumption is he's the third string quarterback.
So they get him for a 2027 7th round pick. But my thing with it, and the reason I talked to you about it and said something about the whole McKee thing, is like I understand having the veteran, having the guy like they had Sam Howell as the QB3 last year.
Yep.
But the difference is Sam Howell wasn't making $4 million.
That's what I was just going to say.
Your third stringer making that much money, that's a lot of money. And
Hemsky said the same thing.
Like to me, that gives them the option to now. Like there's two teams on my radar. At first, if you would have asked me like a month ago, I would have said the New York Jets. But I don't think that's going to be the avenue. The two teams that I'm thinking about, one team is closer to contending than the other, but the Arizona Cardinals, I know they got Minshew and they have Brissett. I understand that.
Yeah.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have Will Howard and Mason Rudolph. And Aaron Rodgers, is he deciding to play or is he not playing?
He's such a
so the way that I think about it is Steelers make a lot of sense, especially if you're looking for a veteran edge rusher like an Alex Highsmith. That'd be a perfect thing to what you're looking for and what you're
Nick Herbig.
See, to me, I think they're willing to move on Highsmith than Herbig, because Herbig is a lot younger.
My buddies in Pittsburgh are saying Watt might be more available.
I'll take Watt.
That's what I said. I was like, dude, give me a banged up 31-year-old Watt. I'll take Watt. Him. Give me Watt and a 3. You can have.
Hell yeah. I'll absolutely take him. But again, that's to me, I think that the Tanner McKee trade is more likely than having all three of these guys on the roster. Now, again, you could see a Tanner McKee trade in the summer when maybe his value goes up if an injury happens or a team gets desperate enough, or after the draft they don't get the quarterback that they're looking for.
Or they trade him during the draft and take someone like a Taylor Green or what's the kid's name out of North Dakota State?
Cole Payton.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
But again, that was very interesting trade. And then today we had 3 moves here. Started off with the Sidney Brown trade to the Atlanta Falcons. Sidney Brown, and then they traded picks 122 and 215 to Atlanta for picks 114 and 197. So they move up in both of those rounds. And they trade Sidney Brown. So Sidney Brown wasn't going to be.
And they free up $1.5 million in cap space.
Which then wind up going to the guys that they then signed. Marcus Epps re-signs with the Eagles, which I thought he played really well last year in the time that he was asked to play. And special teamer and safety JT Gray, 3-time All-Pro special teamers and a Pro Bowler. So he fills the Sidney Brown role there, and then they get the starter alongside in Marcus Epps, unless they go and they make a deal for another. But Marcus Epps knows the system. So. He was here last year. Like, he's a veteran. So, you get that there, especially when you're losing guys like Sidney Brown with the trade and Reed Blankenship. So you go ahead and you make those moves. All in all, I'm liking the aggressiveness, adding some pieces, adding some players. Some younger guys who potential, and that's the thing that it's kind of been their trend the last couple of years, is adding a bunch of 1-year guys. If it turns into something, they're able to do what they need to do, or potentially if a guy on a 1-year deal winds up turning out to be something pretty good, they wind up leaving and you may get potentially
or
a comp
or you
pick and
extend
stuff
them.
like that.
Yeah.
Or you extend them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So all in all, it's been pretty aggressive, and I like that so far now. Trying to build out this roster because there are still some spots, there are still some needs, there are still some holes that they need to fill with some depth guys and some guys that potentially you could do either, whether it's a trade, whether it's before you get to the draft, and then of course after the draft there'll be still moves and everything being made. But
so in my opinion, I think you need to add 2 offensive line. And
you and I have been talking back
rusher.
and forth about that. The offensive line aspect, you and I were going like 2 veterans, whether it's a swing tackle and an interior guy or a guy that could play 3 positions.
School.
Like
School.
he would be School would be perfect. He'd be your swing tackle. That'd be absolutely perfect. Him or like a guy that guy said, Calvin Anderson would be another option.
Yeah. He could play guard, right?
Like, yeah. And then, for me, like looking at interior wise, a James Daniels, because he can play guard, he can play center. He's, and I believe he was cut, so he would not count for the compensatory. I can't say that too fast. To me, and I've talked to you about this, more and more likely that the compensatory picks, at most, they're going to have 2, but more than likely they're just going to get that 3rd for Jalen Phillips. They're not going to overpay for anyone. If they have to, they'll just wait it out until that period is over, where they can sign someone at that point. Because there's a ton of veterans still out there. So it's going to be interesting what they do.
The thing I like about School is he's got a sweet helmet set up.
I'm going to have to.
It's old school, man. He's got the F7 Pro with that full cage setup.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That is old school.
I love it. I love it. You don't see many offensive linemen in F7s these days, so I'm a big fan.
And the thing, like, School has been with Minnesota. He was with San Francisco. Yeah. He's only 29 years old, so he's not super old. 6'6", 315, swing tackle, played with the Niners, the Bucks, and the Vikings. So he's been, like, to me, this doesn't scream Eagles.
Well, so he's got crossover with Grizzard.
Yeah.
Grizzard, whatever.
Grizzard.
And he's got crossover with Cooper.
Yeah.
And theoretically knows the system not only because of those 2 things, but because of the Shanahan tree. It does make a lot of sense.
He's played 82 games. He started 26 games, 9 last year, 5 the year before with Tampa Bay, and then he started 12 earlier in his career.
I'm looking at a picture right here of him battling against Jonathan Grenard, his future teammate.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure that happens. I think looking at the edge position of what they're going to do, because you need that other starter. Like, I know Jalix Hunt is emerging. I get that. Nolan Smith, like, he's got to be able to be on the field and stay healthy. He's been banged up, and I just don't know what the future with him in terms of what they're going to do. And then you got Ebiketie, and that's really it. And of course, I would see them drafting a guy earlier in the first couple rounds, but
Deny,
like, that's the guy that I would like to have. But
Malachi Lawrence,
is he from UCF or USF? UCF, right? Yeah. I heard rumblings about him, and what he's kind of that guy.
We had a question, by the way. Dude, stop doing your laundry in the shows. Didn't we have a question pop up? I forgot.
Yeah. Who do we want to draft with our first round pick?
I know who I want. I want Vega. I'm just gonna say it now. I want Vega. I wanna trade up and go get Ione.
I'm more and more coming on board that train there. Of course, I've watched him play at Penn State.
We're both a little biased because we like Penn State, but I'm going to say this on the show. I said it to my buddy. I said it on Twitter. You could argue that he is the best player in the draft, regardless of position. You could make that argument. I don't think many people would argue with you.
My only thing to ask is he a type of player that, like, I know the way their offensive scheme is, he's going to fit wherever. He's going to be a plug and play no matter
what. I think he can go to any offense.
The other thing, I think I'm more and more liking that pick than an offensive tackle is you play him at right guard. And then if Dickerson retires after this year,
you move him to left.
He can be left, or he can stay at right and you get a left guard or whatever. But
yeah,
he's that kind of guy in weight. Like, I understand the Lane Johnson, you want to get a tackle, you want to get, like, I get that, but I'm not going to draft a right tackle to just sit on the bench for a year.
Hear me out. What if you draft a guy like Vega and you move Steen to right tackle? He was a left tackle at Bama and Vandy.
Didn't he play right tackle at Vandy?
I think he was a right tackle at Vandy. I was just going to say, I can look that up. That maybe that's, I don't hate that.
Or just trying to think here. So I have this also. So maybe they draft a tackle, or maybe they don't draft a tackle. Maybe it's Vega and then they draft a tackle later. But if you get a guy, like say Lane plays this year out and then retires, but you sign like a Justin School or a Fred Johnson to like a 2-year deal and have them as like a bridge starter for a year. So there's optionality when you look at it and what you want them to do. I would love to see a guy like Caleb Downs falling into the teens and trading up and getting them, but I don't see that happening. And I'm trying to think too is I don't think some of these top receivers, if you wind up dealing AJ, but AJ would be dealt in June most likely if you do that. But the whole tackle thing, like, I don't want to reach for a tackle at 23. They've done that before. I don't want to do that.
I think a guy like Blake Miller is a safe pick at 23. He's a right tackle. He's 54 starts. Like, he's durable. He's athletic as hell. I feel like he's a guy they're going to fall in love with. Him and Max from Arizona State.
What if Sadiq is there at 23? Vega's gone.
Vega's definitely gone. I don't think he makes it.
Yeah,
he's not going to make it to 23. But if he makes it to like 15, maybe.
But say they don't trade up and they stay at 23, and Sadiq is there, and of course you have the other guys. Some corners are there. Blake Miller's there.
Yeah,
you have, do you go ahead and just take essentially what would be the best player available in Sadiq? Because they've done it already, taking the best player available, not worrying about.
Right, but I don't know. Howie's got me in a pretzel here because, like, if you asked me 2 years ago if you would draft a linebacker in the first round, I would have told you no.
I said no.
Right, and I actually said it on the draft show.
Corner in the first, and they did it twice.
Corner in the first
and second round.
Yeah, so he's zigging when we're zagging, and I don't know. Like, from Vega, he's never drafted a guard in the first round. He's never drafted a safety in the first round.
He didn't, but Eagles have with Sean Andrews.
But he hasn't. They drafted Danny Watkins too. But
that was Andy.
Right.
I know he was in the room and everything, but Andy was head of the.
Right. The Eagles have. He has not. So, when you look at Howie, he's never drafted a tight end in the first round. And the Eagles haven't since what? Keith Byard?
Keith Byars was like a fullback.
Or, Keith Jackson, I mean.
Keith Jackson. Yeah.
The two Keiths.
See, the way that I look at it is this. I know what they did last year. We know what they did with the corner position. They know they need to get younger on offense in terms of younger and cheaper. if Sadiq
But-
is there, you
But
take
the
him
offensive
knowing,
line, the offensive line is where you need to get younger and cheaper.
yeah,
The tight end, I don't know that I love Sadiq. I think he's amazing, and he's like, I think he'd be so much fun in this offense. I don't know that you're going to get more from him than you would from like a Roche or an Oscar Delp or even Eric Stowers in like the second round. I don't know that he gives you much more other than speed.
I
Like
think
he
too.
could either be, he's either going to be a Cornelius Ingram or he's going to be a Vernon Davis. Like he's going to be one of the two.
It's either OJ Howard or it's
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Vernon Davis and like his combine testing, his height, his weight, his arm length, the speed, everything. Go look and compare his numbers to Vernon Davis, and they are almost identical.
Yeah,
So like, it would be awesome to have a Vernon Davis for 10 years, but I just don't know if the positional value is there from an Eagles perspective.
So the other thing too is that you draft a tight end and I thought about this.
Mm-hmm.
Going through mocks and stuff. When you draft the tight end, you draft Sadiq in the first round. Then you look into the second round. Then you're like, okay, well, I need to get an edge. I need to get a tackle, like safety. And then you're just looking. And then all of a sudden you're in the fourth round. You haven't drafted an edge yet or a safety, and you're like, like it puts you in that position. And again, I wouldn't be surprised too if they trade back as well.
But that's also why Howie's doing what he's doing. Like Howie is purposefully trying to fill the holes prior to going to the draft so that he can just be like, I'm going to take Sadiq and not give a shit if I don't get Blake Miller. Like he wants to go into the draft and say, I'm just going to take who my best guy is. Right. And that's why I think moves are coming at edge. I think moves are coming at offensive line. And then the question I think becomes more serious as to whether or not you should take Sadiq. You know what I mean? Like right now, as we sit here, I'm going to say no, because we need a guard, we need a tackle, we need to get younger.
I got another one for you.
55
free agent
tight ends right now.
Free agent wise.
How many tight ends do we have on the roster right now?
We have
5.
So we got Goddard, got Calcaterra, got Munt, got EJ Jenkins, got Jaheim Bell, and got Stone Smart. Got 6.
Yeah.
So I have another one for you here.
Yeah.
As a free agent to sign.
What position?
Offensive line.
Okay.
Now I know he hasn't played guard.
Oh boy.
I'm not sure I don't know. Maybe he can play guard. Lloyd Cushenberry. He's played center.
Yeah.
I know you and I have talked with that. He played under Cooper.
He was under Cooper in Denver, right?
In Denver. And I believe with Fangio. Fangio was in Denver, on the other side of the ball. But
you might have drafted him, right?
I think so, 2020.
Yeah. That's an interesting one.
6'4", 315. Like he's not 6'4", 300 pounds. Like he's 315.
Right. Right. So
I don't believe I don't think he's ever played guard. But again, not saying he can't. But again, that's another option. Plus, he's only 28. Doesn't turn 29 until end of November.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think it depends on how you feel about Kendall. Because I think you make that move with the understanding that he would be a swing center guard. Right?
Yeah.
I would assume, because he's primarily played center throughout his career.
Again, we don't know what the staff's going to think of the guys they drafted last year, with Kendall, Hinton, and Williams.
That is a super interesting option, though. I'm trying to look at his positional. I
think it's been all center.
Snaps by position. Yeah, so he is.
I don't know if he's played
all center in 25. All center in 24.
Thing is, he's mostly been the starter. So, and he signed that big contract, so he was going to play center.
Right. The only time he plays guard or anything is on field goal. Center.
Again, I don't know.
Wow.
Like,
he's all over the place on special teams, though.
But it's an interesting
center
because he's played under this. Like, if he's your backup center, or listen, I
mean, at the very least, he's an upgraded backup center.
Yeah,
with Cam coming off significant injuries.
And listen, maybe he doubles as a guard. Look at last year. They made Brett Toth their backup center, and he played starts at center. So and he was guard, and he was a tackle, and he was all over the place. But
it's a different coach now. That's the only thing.
It is a different coach.
I don't know how this guy thinks.
Again, I wouldn't put it past, like, he's got the size.
I agree. You would assume that Cooper knows what he is capable of.
Yeah.
I don't hate that because I don't know that I trust Kendall to come in. And I don't want to move Dickerson, who's also oft injured.
No. Yeah.
So I don't hate that move. I like it if they think he can play guard, especially.
They need to add at least 2 veterans behind, like, the depth, just because you want guys who have done it before, like, in case there's an injury. Yeah. Because right now we've seen the injuries. It impacted them last year. There was a lot of guys that were hurt. Lane missed a lot of time. Juergens was banged up. Dickerson was banged up. Like,
it's the whole damn team.
Almost the whole thing. Almost the whole team.
I like it. If they came away with School and Cushionberry, I'd feel more comfortable there for sure. Because my 2 positions that I'm worried about are, it's really if Lane can stay healthy for the whole season, as he hasn't in the last 3 or 4, and really, I mean, Dickerson and Juergens, and if he can fill those 2 spots, if one of them goes down, I like it. I like that strategy.
Just some things. I
was like, Andy guy. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So just something wanted to think about, but we'll be back again next week. Probably have another move or 2, hopefully a couple moves to go over.
I hope so.
As we get into the end of this month, into April, we're going to start kind of transitioning into some draft talk, kind of go over some of Eagles' needs, some players and positions, with the draft being 34 days away. We're going to start going over some mock drafts, doing some fun stuff, maybe doing a couple mock drafts ourselves to pass the time, to have some fun live as we do the show, because I feel like that's always interesting. It's always fun, kind of see how we think. And so that's kind of where we're at there, but we want to thank everyone joining us. We want to make sure that you are following. Make sure you hit the link tree. All the handles are at the bottom there. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. But we appreciate that. Content's coming. Always take a look at all our pages, posting daily. So just make sure that you are subscribing, comment on it. If you don't like a post, you don't like a player, you don't like a signing, make sure you let us hear it. Let us know why. We always like to interact. So with that, as we always do, we want to thank everyone for joining us and always end it with a very happy and joyful Go Birds.
Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.